what do you think about this incredible compression and volatility that we've seen since the start of the year? Let's start with Marcus, because you're the quant. Talk to me. What do you think of all this vol compression, especially in the big heavyweights like BIT and ETH, which have, I've been joking around. They've been trading like a utility stock for the last couple of days.
Well, look, honestly, from the trading side on like the day to day, it's kind of sometimes a welcome change to see things like pitter patter out a bit and not be really volatile. Because I think in periods like that, you see great pricing channels established, and trading off the technicals can be really fun at times. So I think compared to some of the huge moves we've seen in crypto in the last year, some of which aren't always good on the trading side or on the liquidity farming side, because the huge moves have liquidated a lot of liquidity farmers and stakers. It can be a welcome change, but I think in the more, I guess, fundamental sense or the technology sense, which really excites me about crypto, I think it's really good because it's during phases like this when you see the hype die down a bit, where you see a lot of the shills sort of get wormed out of the market. I think that's when you start to see great technology get built. I think we saw that back in 2018. We saw a lot of liquidity and market cap leave the market. And then that gives people opportunity for the real technologists to, I guess, flourish. It's sort of, it's a bit of a cleansing period in that. So and that depends on how long it lasts. But I think periods like this, whilst daunting, also provide a lot of new opportunities and can be really exciting for traders and long-term investors as well.
Interesting. Well, Peter, what do you think the new opportunities are now? Like in this quiet period where so much consolidation is happening, what do you see on the horizon that looks really promising?
Well, I've been looking at a lot of coins that are sort of quite low down compared to where they've been in the past. Those coins that have already cycled up and had one huge sort of blow off top and come back down and are now bottoming out, are starting to look quite good, where they're sort of perhaps 3 or 4x below their market cap, because they obviously have the potential then to hit the market caps and go way beyond. So I'm looking at the moment at Basic Attention Token, which is looking pretty strong, which is sort of in the advertising and attention industry, as well as that gaming. Gala Gaming has had an incredible run at the end of last year and has come down hard as well, but is now starting to consolidate.
How much is it off the highs? Is it like 80% off the highs?
Gala Gaming is something around that. Basic Attention Token as well. That's kind of probably not quite as much as that, but also sort of fairly low down. So they are both fairly sort of small market caps, obviously compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they offer much more kind of percentage opportunity, but obviously higher risk with small market caps, etc. And then
what they remind me of? It's interesting because this reminds me of like the COVID stocks, like Zoom, like Peloton, like Docs, that also basically have had like an 80% compression, but are actually good companies. So it's very similar price action after you have to blow off that.
If you look at like the those type of industries when people were locked down, etc., had a lot of interest. I think Gala Gaming is in the play to earn games. There's probably a lot of people who probably sat at home during COVID and wanted to make a bit of money, wanted to have something fun to do. So you can see why gaming, etc., has kind of taken off last year.
Yep. Understood. Marcus, what do you said this is a period where new winners are going to emerge. Just from your read of the industry, what looks promising? Like, where does crypto go next? Where is the narrative going to get hot, do you think, in crypto?
Short answer, I don't know. No idea. That's the fun thing at this point. I think if you told me when, all the ICOs died out in, early 2018 and, all this liquidity left the market, if you said to me that the real value or technology that's going to be built in crypto is going to be what would later become DeFi, I wouldn't have been able to call that. At the time, people were, talking about everything being blockchain integrated. If you just put blockchain in any company or any ICO, it was bound to look successful. And so picking which one of those would actually be successful was hard. And I certainly didn't think it would be on the finance side in DeFi we'd see all that technology built. So the short question is kind of, I don't know the answer, but I guess my opinion, I think the technology that's going to be great, and this is where I want it to go, is on the finance side. I think DeFi and NFTs as well, NFT technology, which I'm not as versed in, but I think on the finance side, I think in DeFi, we're going to see a lot of liquidations happen and we're going to see real value sort of get driven to, I think, liquidity pools or into blockchains that I guess provide the most, I guess, sense of true value. So that's personally my opinion. I think it's going to be on that sort of financial technology side of crypto. We're going to see some more innovation happen in the coming year.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, everybody's waiting for the use case that's going to kind of a breakout use case for DeFi. It'll be interesting to see, what that is, because we're certainly moving closer to just, all sorts of. I mean, one example that people are talking about right now is really interesting. Is, of course, all of you guys are familiar with the disaster of nickel, right? How nickel, the LME had to, cancel all the trades because there was just massive margin squeezes going on here. Excuse me. One of the interesting examples of DeFi, I think, is that you have real-time margining. Like, basically everything that's in crypto can be margined at real time. So the position of the trade instantaneously, and therefore you don't have to worry about settlement risk, which is what LME was worried about when they canceled all those trades. So everybody's saying that could be the next big breakthrough in terms of creating truly instantaneous, fully marginable markets 24/7 across the world without the risk of like this person backing away from his trades and then creating a bunch of busts.
Yeah, it's more realistic. I think that's what we saw with the LME. It was really the whole market was sort of beholden to just a few large holders who, if they were liquidated, would cause a lot of issues for them. And so it's like you literally have, and in crypto that can't really happen. If you're liquidated, you're liquidated. It's a protocol. Right. It just happens automatically.
Right. When it's not
a real market, but with the LME,
right. When it's not a relationship, when it's a protocol, there is no there's no backdoor relationship. We all know the story there. That's very, it's true. Peter, I wanted to ask you. We're talking about a little bit about NFTs. I know you're involved a lot in NFTs. You want to talk to us a little bit about what's the next thing in that space? What's hot, and where do you see the use case for NFTs going forward?
Actually, so at the moment, a lot of NFT stuff, the hype in the market is crazy because there's obviously like lots of people who are, advertising, and you'll see it on Instagram. I bought this NFT for $400 and sold it next week for $460,000.
Yes.
And that's
we've had a few of those on our show. We've had a few of those on our show, and I wanted to strangle them, but yes, yeah absolutely.
So obviously, that's getting people very excited and very hyped up. And a lot of it at the moment is kind of, some of it is about the artwork. Some of the artwork is quite cool. For example, Invisible Friends that came out, I think last week or the week before, it was pretty much guaranteed to make some good returns. So there's a little bit at the moment about who the artist is, but a lot of it's about utilities and mainly just hype. How big is the Discord? How big is Twitter, etc., which is kind of a really shallow way of looking at it. But ultimately, that's really what's making projects popular, and that's probably what's driving people to buy them, which is not sustainable in my opinion, because as you see now, you've got like Michael Jordan releasing his NFT and everyone trying to sort of release their NFTs. And as that happens, it's going to become saturated really quickly with that. So I think actually the use cases of NFTs further down the line in terms of like legal documents, etc., like that is probably more kind of interesting than what is being used at the moment.
Correct. Like actually the use cases that I hear that really make a lot of sense to me are, and Marcus, please chime in on this, is your college diploma. Okay, your college diploma becomes an NFT. Therefore, it's absolutely impossible. Sometimes people lose their diploma, and sometimes you lose your records, whatever. Sort of an inviolable record. Even if you think about it, your passport should really be an NFT. I mean, how many times my kids have lost their Canadian passports 3 times? It's just been a nightmare.
I think it's Boris. It's like. That's such a big thing with identity because look, from the broker space, just on our side, KYC is a big thing of what we do. And KYC is how many times have you had to onboard with a different broker, a different service, and you've lost photos of, even having photos of your passport is just so easily hackable and copyable in it.
Right. Or even like, I remember when I was on the brokerage side, we would have legitimate clients from Middle East, but they'd be living like they're not living on a road. They're just like living in a desert. And, part of the KYC was like, we need an address for you. And he was like, I'm next to a sheep, In the meantime, and he was a perfectly legitimate customer with lots of money, but, it was very hard to bring him on. So,
exactly. KYC it's very first world oriented, and I think having it as an NFT is just so fast, and it's a better system. It's not like we're degrading KYC processes at all. It's like making it better, and that's where building technologies around NFTs like that, I think that's what's really going to make like life easier and actually have value, as opposed to a lot of the cartoons coming out, which are cool as well. I own a few of those, but true value being reflected.
But true utility, I think we're all in agreement. True utility in the whole crypto space is really going to be identity driven. It's just, and in the really big, I think the person who's going to be the true winner in this is somebody who makes it as easy as Apple Pay. I mean, it has to, like, it's still incredibly difficult for an average human being to onboard into the crypto space. And it needs to be something where, literally they're carrying it on their phone, and it's perfectly authenticated in the ether always as who they are, So yeah, that's it. That's definitely the direction. So far, we haven't seen that use case come to life, but I think everybody's in agreement that that's where things are going to go forward.